Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get richer and richer, while others struggle to escape the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle? Here's a twist that might surprise you. Many wealthy individuals don't get rich by avoiding debt. They actually use debt as a tool to build even more wealth. But how does that work? Isn't debt supposed to be something to avoid at all costs? Let's dig into how the rich use debt, not as a trap, but as a powerful stepping stone to financial freedom. Let's start with the basics. Most of us are taught that debt is dangerous, a hole you want to climb out of as quickly as possible. And for things like credit cards or high-interest loans, that's spot on. But not all debt is created equal. The rich understand the difference between two kinds of debt: bad debt and good debt. Bad debt is what most people are familiar with. It's money borrowed to buy things that lose value over time, like the latest smartphone or a fancy car you can't afford. These purchases usually come with high interest rates and don't put any extra money in your pocket. Over time, bad debt can drain your finances and limit your options. But then there's this good debt. This is money borrowed to buy things that can actually generate income or increase in value. Think real estate, education, or a business investment. Used wisely, good debt can be like rocket fuel for your financial goals. Here's a simple example. Imagine you find an apartment building for $500,000. You only have $100,000 saved up, but the bank is willing to lend you the remaining $400,000. With this loan, you buy the building and rent out the apartments. Let's say, after paying the mortgage and other expenses, you still make a profit every month. Over time, the rent pays off the loan, the property's value goes up, and you end up with an asset worth much more than you started with, all because you used good debt to your advantage. This is called leveraging. Leverage means using borrowed money to increase your potential return on investment. The rich are masters at this. They know that if an investment brings in more money than the cost of borrowing, they're coming out ahead. It's like using a lever to lift something heavy. Your own money goes further when you combine it with borrowed funds. But wait, doesn't this sound risky? What if things go wrong? That's a fair question. The reality is all investments carry some risk, and using debt amplifies both the rewards and the risks. That's why wealthy people are strategic about the debt they take on. They focus on investments with a strong track record, do their homework, and always have a backup plan for when things don't go as expected. Let's look at another example. Businesses. Many successful entrepreneurs use loans to start or grow their companies. Jeff Bezos, for instance, didn't build Amazon into a trillion-dollar company using only his own savings. He raised money from investors and took on debt to expand. When the business made profits, the returns were much bigger than what he could have achieved on his own. The key here is that the debt was used to create something valuable, not just to buy things that lose value. This approach even applies to the stock market. Some investors use a strategy called margin investing, borrowing money to buy more stocks. While this can amplify gains, it also increases the risk of losses, so it's not for the faint of heart or the inexperienced. But it shows another way that the wealthy use borrowed money to grow their wealth. So why don't more people use debt this way? One reason is mindset. Many of us have a scarcity mindset when it comes to money. We see debt only as a threat, not a tool. The rich, on the other hand, often have an abundance mindset. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. They're willing to take calculated risks, but they do it with knowledge, preparation, and discipline. There's also a psychological factor at play. Emotional spending and lifestyle inflation, buying more stuff as you earn more, are common traps. The rich use debt to buy assets, not liabilities. They ask, will this purchase put money in my pocket or take money out? That simple question can make all the difference. Want to start thinking like the rich? Here are a few practical steps you can take. First, build a solid financial foundation. Before you even think about using debt to invest, make sure you have an emergency fund, enough to cover at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses. This safety net will keep you from falling into bad debt if something unexpected happens. Second, learn the difference between good and bad debt. Ask yourself, is this debt helping me grow my wealth, or is it just making my life more expensive? If it's not putting money back in your pocket, think twice before borrowing. Third, educate yourself. Read books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, which explains these concepts in simple terms. Or The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, which explores why we think about money the way we do. Knowledge is your best defense against making risky or impulsive decisions. Fourth, start small. You don't need millions to put these ideas into practice. Maybe you invest in a small side hustle, a high-yield savings account, or even a low-cost index fund. The point is to get comfortable with the idea of using money to make more money, instead of just spending it. Finally, be patient and play the long game. Building wealth through leverage isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about making smart decisions, taking calculated risks, and letting time work in your favor. Remember the power of compound interest, money making money over and over again. To sum it up, the rich use debt not as a burden, but as a bridge to greater wealth. They borrow to invest in assets that grow in value or generate income, not just to fund a flashy lifestyle. By shifting your mindset, learning the basics, and taking small, smart steps, you can start using money the way the wealthy do, turning debt from a trap into a tool for financial freedom. So the next time you hear the word debt, don't just think of it as something to avoid. Ask yourself, how can I make it work for me? With the right knowledge and discipline, you too can harness the power of leverage and unlock new doors on your journey to financial independence.